Okay, let's go. So we shall begin by setting our posture. We're going to take our feet to roughly hip width apart, spread out the toes, and make that nice connection down to the floor. So we're feeling not just the toes, but the balls of the feet and the heels as well. So we feel nice and evenly weighted. Then we are standing up nice and tall, lifting and opening up through the crown of the head. So as we do that, we straighten up, but we don't go stiff, relaxing shoulders, softening knees. Then we're bringing the hands onto the belly and we start to connect in to that nice, easy, natural, just everyday breathing, very gentle rise and fall of the tummy. And we're going to stay with that as we loosen off. So let the arms relax, gently drop the chin towards the chest, lift up and lengthen away, nice little neck stretch there. And we'll just take a couple of minutes to work down through the body, have a little check-in, see how everything's feeling today, and just ease our way gradually into that connection of mind and body and movement and breath coming together. We're going to draw back, so we're tucking the chin in and we're lining the head up over the shoulders, and then we're going side to side. So we just have a little look over, just gently encourage that. We're going to go one more of those to either side, and then come back. This time we're going ear up and we anchor the shoulder down as we just push the arm away. We've got a nice stretch through the side of the neck. So we'll do another couple of those. All the while here, if you find that you're just naturally settling into breathing, that works, or just be observant of it. We're going into our last ones here. Let the arms relax very gently. Allow the head to sweep across the chest, looking over, and then back, down, around. We're just doing one more of those each way. And then we're coming back to the center, and we just really think about the head position, slightly tucking in and lengthening up through the crown of the head. Shoulders then forward circling, and to do that we want to squeeze back, shrug up, curl forwards and slide down. So we're rolling, we're squeezing, we're encouraging that nice massagey type movement that we're giving our shoulders. After this one, we're going back the other way, so it's curl, lift, squeeze and slide. Just watch the head doesn't start to get involved with that one. Keep it still soft knees, nice easy breathing. And our last couple of shoulders coming in there, sliding down into the back, so we're just aware of their position. Hands onto hips then as we scoop and roll. So we're finding those two extremes, trying to round through the back here, but then arching that way. If the low back is a little bit tight, we might have to start a little bit more gently, maybe not go to maximum till it loosens a little bit. So we'll do a few, so that if the back is tight, you can get hopefully a little bit of loosening, and then maybe just encourage it a little bit more. We're taking our last couple, and then we're going to find that center position again, where we know we're back in neutral. We then rise up onto the tiptoes, just maintaining nice normal posture as we float up and hopefully float down very slowly as well, into feet flexing, and then just hovering up, down and flex. We're going to take the arms as well. So let's just make an easy circle with the arms. We can even think about breathing. So let's breathe in and then breathe out as we come round and flex. You may want to go a bit higher with the arms. That always makes me a lot more wobbly. But if you want to go there a bit more challenge, I'm going to stay at shoulder height, I think. We're coming into our last couple now. So wherever you're working with the arms, this is going to be the last one. Float it through, finishing with the flex, of course, planting the feet, and then reaching up and coming just into a little swing, not too deep. So it's just enough to get the knees and hips moving a bit. We inhale up, we exhale down, reach and release, stretch up high, swing down low, breathe in, breathe out. We'll just do a couple of those. Swing through. Okay, this will be the last one. We're going to reach up and then just nice and slowly, let's open the arms just as far back as we can, stretching the chest a little bit. So come through there, stepping the feet out into a nice easy twist, lifting up the back foot so you're not stuck to the floor, and just making a really nice soft fluid turn all the way through the body. So we're going to take a couple more, and then we'll just settle back. After this one, let everything release. Shake out the shoulders, loosen out the arms and the legs, so everything's just feeling a little bit more connected. We're going to do a little bit of extra shoulder work, as we often do when we're in our standing position, but we're going to challenge it in a slightly different way today. So, standing onto the right leg, I'm bending my right knee a little bit. We're going into a balance with it, but if you feel super wobbly and you don't want to take one foot completely off the floor, just try and keep light tiptoes, so it gives you a bit of feedback, but you'll still really feel that leg that you're standing on working. So to start with, just nice and easy with the arms, we're going to draw back, breathe out, do a little shoulder squeeze, draw the arms together, breathe in as they come back to the front. Breathing out, whoops, breathing in. It is going to feel wobbly, that's okay, that's the point. If you're as wobbly as me, it's probably a good idea to just keep that little bit of connection through the toes. We're going to take a couple more repetitions this side. The main thing really is just that leg that you're standing on is slightly bent all the time, so you're not locking it rigid. Keep that challenge. If you're super good at balancing, like I say, you could be foot off the floor here. I think that's probably about 10. So we'll go for our last one, and then we'll give it a go on the other side as well. Good job. Shake out the leg you've just been standing on. Now it's the time to work the other leg, of course. Bend that knee a little bit. Arms are going different pattern, but same thing. Essentially working into the shoulders. So we're going up and down stretch this time. We've done those nice horizontals. We're going into a bit of toy soldiers here. So we're breathing out, breathing in, and breathing out, and breathing in. And like I say, if I'm a bit steadier on this leg, so I've got my foot in the air, but if not, you've got that little bit of connection down through the toes. So we're just going into our last couple of toy soldiers now. I think we're probably at about 10 of those as well. And we're going to release from there. So the shoulders have had a good little bit of extra stretching. We'll give them a shake and definitely shake the legs out. And then we'll be ready to head down to the floor. So let's get ourselves down there, finding our nice comfortable position. And just adjust your screens if you need to. Bring anything with you that you need as well, of course. So that could be head supports, cushions, yoga blocks, props, anything you would normally use. We'll come on down. Okay, good job. So once we're down here, we've got knees bent. Ooh, my mat's a bit rolly today. I left it in my bag last night after being out teaching. It won't flatten out. So we've got head with nice and relaxed, maybe supported if that is beneficial for your posture. Soft and relaxed shoulders, hands onto the belly, nice comfortable neutral hips, knees bent, feet on the floor. Focusing into our breath. So we notice, of course, normal breathing, then we want to go deeper so that as we inhale, we feel the belly rise. As we exhale, we gently encourage away, and that gives us that natural abdominal connection that is enhancing our work, our challenge to our core. So going into scissors, we're going to float up. This, for the single leg option, this is a straight leg exercise. So we go all the way up with that foot, and we do a foot flex on the way down, and we do a toe point on the way up. So it's a very long, strong, heavy leg working through there, very strong through the front of the hip and thigh, very challenging to the stability of the pelvis. The two leg scissors is a little bit different. You can do it with straight legs, that would be super challenging, but we probably start with bent legs, and they stay bent, so we do a little toe tap, and then the name, of course, is where we get, it's this two leg is where we get the name from, because you start to move both legs at the same time so that they're scissoring past one another, hence the name. To make that more challenging, you could open the knee angle further to more of a heel tap. So I've still got bent legs, but they're just longer bent legs. And then, like I said before, you could potentially do it with straight legs. Oh, very, very challenging to the low back. So it will depend on where your back is feeling its strength. If you're doing two leg work, you'll probably just pick the hardest version that you feel comfortable doing, and then do as many as you can. If you're doing single leg work, it's probably going to be more like counting about 10 or 15 reps. Or again, just seeing how many reps the leg can actually do, because as opposed to most of the other leg work that is similar to this, this is probably the most challenging one of all of them, just because of the positions of the leg and the fact that we're going down and up. It's a hinge holding the whole weight of your leg or legs, whereas usually it's more of a forward stretch, which usually doesn't feel quite so heavy, quite as challenging. So I'm going to let you carry on there whilst you finish off the sets. Of course, when you do get to the end, you'll be coming into resting, but probably not just yet, nearly. Great job. Now, as always, once we have finished, while everyone is finishing off, we just take our rest time, and it's up to you where you go with that. So maybe have a bit of a stretch, a bit of a curl, a twist, wherever your body needs to go. It could even just be find a really comfy position, go into your breathing for a minute and just be very still and rested. Okay, great job. So we're going to do pretty much the same thing through the upper body now to create a different type of challenge. So we've got knees bent, feet on the floor. We're back into our nice normal rested setup position. Again, we're connecting into the breath. So when we were in the balancing a moment ago, we were doing some toy soldiers. We're going to use that same arm pattern now, but it's much more precise and specific. And we have to think about connecting the ribs. So this is essentially scissors with your arms instead of your legs now. So we float up into, this time, either a single or a double tabletop, but it's going to be a static hold, of course, so the legs will be just remaining in position, providing weight to challenge the deep abdominals. Then the arms are coming up and we go palms face forward. When we were standing up, we had palms in, but for proper toy soldiers, palms forward. And we're first of all thinking of really lengthening away. So the arms will make their distance. Mainly the focus is on this arm going overhead because that's challenging your rib cage position. We come up, we do a little reset out to the horizontal drop, and then we go the other side. So we're sort of interrupting our toy soldiers to prevent them becoming just like scissory arms, just floating back and forward. We want to go super strong, stretch, come up, a little reset into a nice relaxed horizontal. Then again, super strong stretch, little reset back into nice relaxed horizontal. And we keep going in that pattern, making those scissor arm shapes. But like I say, rather than just continually going, we make it a little bit stronger by interrupting the flow. So every single toy soldier is like its own individual strong repetition. The horizontal as well is also nice because it just opens out the chest, which is really useful for posture. So as always, if you're doing single leg work with arm work, we normally would work in the sort of 10 to 20 rep area, same for like arm circling and stuff like that. Change legs, of course, and do it on the other side as well. Make sure you do both legs if you're doing singles. For your double tabletop, it's exactly the same. It's just a little bit heavier, of course, because you've got to support the weight of both legs. Definitely a good one if we can get the breathing with it. Exhale into that stretch. Inhale, little release. Reset in the center, and then again, big strong exhale away. And then a little release in the center. Okay, good job. So although it's not quite as heavy as scissors, obviously our arms aren't as heavy as scissors, but it is still a strong core exercise because the breathing, the maintaining of position, the weight of the leg or legs in the air, and the connection of the rib cage down. Okay. When you're done, as always, coming into your nice relaxing or resting position, and yeah, just release and recover for a moment now while everyone is finishing off. Good job. Okay, great job. We are heading over onto our sides now, and it's going to be the clam, which, just looking back, we haven't done for ages, but I'm sure you all remember the clam. So when we come onto our side position, normally we're making a straight line, but not for the clam. Oh, actually, before we get into position, if you've got something for in a minute that you can prop your knee with, it's worth grabbing it now while we're in our transition, and then we don't have to get back up again once we're down. So I'm just grabbing my little knee prop. I won't need that yet, but it's for the next thing. So we're coming into clam. We've got the knees bent rather than a straight line. I'm also floating the feet up a little bit, not all the way, so it pushes us over, but just a little hover there. Make sure the knees are lined up. That should mean the hips are lined up. And of course, connect your breathing. As you exhale, float the knee up to the side. Strong abdominal connection, strong hip work. Inhale, belly relaxes. Knee comes down, but it doesn't stop. It just lightly touches that other leg and goes straight back up again. This free arm, usually for side work, is supporting us, but it can be more relaxed, just wherever it is comfy for it to be. You can hold it for the breathing if that's useful. And again, it's probably just going to be a case of trying to find our maximum. Probably that's going to fall somewhere between about 10 and 20. But yeah, just see how you go, really. Like I said, we are doing two things on the side, so that's what the cushion's for. So when you finish your clam, you can just rest for a moment. Once we're all done, we'll get set up for the other one. But we've probably still got a few to go. So I only did about 4 or 5, so I'm sure you've still got some more to do. We're focusing on maintaining stability. So as the leg is coming up here, the hips stay still. Imagine that this is resting against a wall, so you can't turn with it. We're not finding that move, that rocking movement of the body. So it's very still and centered there. Very, very deep into underneath the main bum muscles, the glutes. We're going deeper in than that. Lots of outer hip and thigh, of course, and a lot of core connection because of holding the position and the breathing and stuff. So when we're done, that is where we need our knee support. If you don't have a knee support, don't worry, because you can do it with your knee just resting on the floor, which is probably where I'll go because it's a bit clearer to see. But if you have got a support, mine would probably be a bit small, but if you've got like a cushion or something to pop under there, it just makes it a little bit more comfy. It's not essential. If not, knee on the floor. So straight bottom leg, straight out, pushing through the heel. Definitely a flexed foot, but not super rigid. And then we're lifting up and floating down. So I'm thinking breath out, breath in, Again, it's really a continual movement, although there is a little bit of extra squeeze, maybe creating a slight pause at the top as you encourage that upward lift. And again, your free arm isn't really needed for balance, so it could be just resting. You could even go into a little bit of stretch with that. So it's up to you. Again, it's probably going to be in that 10 to 20 rep range. So just see how it feels. It's very strong, of course, in the thigh. They work a lot in our sessions, but we don't often really focus on them. They do a lot of assisting work in a lot of the other things, like shoulder bridge is a really good example of where inner thigh is working really strongly, but we're not necessarily focusing on it. Whereas here, it's particularly focused, so a useful bit of work into there. Whenever we fire up inner thigh, there's always this natural connection to the pelvic floor, so we're getting lots of that deeper stuff, which maybe we don't necessarily feel, but it will be happening. So once we've done those two, then of course we normally finish side work with stretching, so you'll still be doing that, and you'll come from your flexed foot position into pointed toes, hand over head, of course, into that normal stretch where we usually go. We're thinking about breath, filling up belly and ribs, of course. Nice deep breathing. Once we've done a few breaths there, we'll just rest for a moment. We'll be coming up to sitting in just a second. That is good. So we can pop ourselves up then into a nice seated position. We're going to come and sit as comfortably as we can. And I'm going to go sideways. We're going into a usual kind of spine twist movement, but a little bit different with the arms. So sideways probably clearer. So I'm going to start with my just fingertips together, arms extended, pretty much at shoulder height, maybe slightly lower, depends. If you have a tendency to hunch, I would drop the arms slightly, but maintain a long neck. So we're doing a nice little shoulder activation with a draw back, a little squeeze there, trying not to move as we do that. Then into the stretch. I'm slightly rounded through the shoulders at that point, but that is then going to make a nice deep twist as we come through. So again, it's that sort of little reset as we come through the shoulders, but it's also giving strong shoulder work. So of course, think about breath. So we're breathing out and in and out and in and exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, and so on. And we'll have a little bit longer working through that. Of course, for that twisting work, it's moving through this center section. So it's strongly activating into all the muscles around here, but it's also about moving this mid-back section. So it's trying to get that rotation through the spine. This one, of course, has got the added bonus of a nice little bit of strong pulling back shoulder work as well. Okay, so we're going to take just probably another couple to either side. I should get off my knees because that's let's go on my knees, but I usually regret it afterwards, so better to sit in a proper position. Breathing. Okay, when you have done your last one, I've just got one more to either side to go, but when you have finished, of course, we're just coming into a nice relaxed position. Let everything release. Maybe give the shoulders a little roll, maybe even shake the legs out if they need it a little bit. And then, of course, we're heading into the clam on the other side. So we'll swivel ourselves around. Bring your knee support for the next one. And then for clam, make sure the head is comfortable. So however you normally support your head in side work, coming into your knee, tucked in knee position, floating the feet up a little bit. And again, a nice relaxed arm here wherever it wants to go. So as we breathe out, get that strong hip action, outer thigh, abdominal connection. Inhale, lightly connect, and of course let the tummy relax when you inhale. You may match what you did on the other side, but not necessarily. So if you've got one hip, maybe with not such a great range, or any hip issues, it doesn't necessarily have to match. It's more just about finding on each individual side where that maximum is again. So yeah, probably somewhere between about 10 and 20, but just feel your way through it. Some of the movements, of course, you don't get that super fatigue feeling, and that's where the repetitions are useful, because it keeps us focused and we know we're doing a set amount. Whereas when we know we're doing a movement like this, where we're going to feel the fatigue no matter what, so then you can go a bit more intuitively and just really feel your way into where your maximum is. Okay, once you're there at the end of your clam, just resting. Once we've all done that, we'll all be going together into the leg raises in a second. We're not, are we there? We're almost there. Yeah, I think we are. Grab that knee support then, if you are using it. If not, it is totally fine to rest on the floor. Gently flex that bottom foot. So I don't want to point it, but I don't want to make the leg rigid. It's just comfortably flexed. That will then lead me into a nice strong leg movement, of course. Again, this arm can be just resting, could be stretching if you find that stretch useful. It's a little bit more challenging maybe. And then, of course, breath focus is really important with this one, because it's really enhancing that inner thigh pelvic floor, deep abdominal connection at the top where we're doing that bit of extra squeeze. Relax on the way down. Strong breath, strong lift. Again, all the way through to hopefully your maximum at the end, of course, going into your stretch and then resting once you've done that. But I'll let you carry on. Great job. So once you've done your set of leg raises, then you've gone into your stretch for maybe about 3 or 4 breaths. Then you've had a little rest. Then we'll be heading over onto the tummies, onto our fronts to do a little bit of work. I think we're there. So let's come on over and just get ourselves set up ready there. We were swan diving last week, weren't we? Okay. Right. It's breaststroke prep week. So again, this is another one that's a little bit different than most of the others, because we're setting up with the arms behind us, so they're already quite activated before we even begin. You may find it useful if you've got a niggly neck or low back to have a bit of forehead support, but if you don't need that, then we're just in that normal chin tucked in, nice long neck, slightly raised off the chest start position. The arms then, as I say, are coming behind us into this palms down, thumbs out start position. Now, the main thing to watch out for with this one is when we start to lift the arm, that we don't turn them underneath. So your backs of hands are never going to turn towards the floor. If they turn anywhere, they're going to slightly turn out that way. So that's the challenge. First of all, though, I would just start to hover the arms, lift them up, draw them down. It comes from the shoulders. Breathe out, pick up the arms, breathe in, release them down. If you have got a bit more space in the shoulders, you may be able to get that little bit of extra thumb lift. but not necessarily. You don't have to. It's where your maximum is. You may want to add a little bit of extension with that. Now, this will add a lot more work into the low back, into the bottom of the legs. So that raising part is optional. It will make it a bit more challenging, of course, but just if you do that version, make sure it doesn't change the focus to just being an upper back lift, a low back lift. We want to still have that strong shoulder and posture work. And you'll notice with this one, a bit different to all the others, you'll feel a lot of strong arm work, very strong in the triceps, lots of people notice. Whereas most of our frontline posture work tends to be very much shoulder focused, of course. And this one is shoulders, very much shoulders, but there's that corresponding arm work as well. So with frontline posture work, we always do as many repetitions as we can. Again, it's one of those feel your way into it ones, just doing as many as you can. And that will vary greatly probably, so I'll try and give you plenty of time so you can hopefully find that maximum. Good. It is challenging, but it's really good for posture. Firing up all those upper back and shoulder muscles, turning those shoulders out, which they hardly ever get a chance to do in everyday life. Now, when you have finished, of course, you're just going to be resting for a moment. So just probably moving the arms into a different position so that they can soften and everything can release just for a moment. I think we're pretty much there. Well done. Okay. So from there, we bring the hands up so that they can now support the head. So one hand on top of the other. That hopefully is going to be comfortable for the forehead to rest. Allow the shoulders to soften, so we're not holding tension in the upper body as we focus on working our legs. So I'm doing a one leg kick, but a repeater rather than alternating. So it doesn't really matter which leg you start with. I'm going to do my left leg just because it's nearer to the screen. So I'm going to stretch that leg away, push it out and lift it up like we generally do with all of our leg work. But I'm then hovering and holding it. The main thing is that the hip doesn't lift off the floor. Yours may be slightly lower than mine or even a bit higher. It just depends on the position of your hip where that will go to. Once the leg is hovering though, we're going to flex the foot, pull the heel to the bum, point the toe, stretch away, and then keep going on that same side. It's very concentrated. You're going to feel very strong work in that bum cheek, holding your leg up. Very strong work in the hamstring, pulling the leg in and then guiding it back out. Possibly about 10 to 15 and then change. But again, I would just really see how you go. If you have niggly knees that don't like to bend a lot, you don't necessarily have to pull all the way in. So if there's a bit that feels uncomfortable, you can always stop at that point. You'll still get plenty of work in the hamstring without necessarily squashing your knee if it's not happy. If it is, then in theory, you're trying to get the heel to the bum as close as you can. And it's another flexed foot movement. So it's flex on the way in towards the bottom, point on the way out. So you get that contrasting work. Again, adding in that lower leg work. The main driving forces are the bum and the hamstrings, but you're adding in that lower leg work as well. Okay, looking good. think we're done. So we're going to tuck those toes under. That will stick our heels up in the air, and then we can hopefully be quite relaxed through the mid area of the body, so around the waist to hips, and just have a little gentle rock. That's very, very loosening, quite soft. Legs can go with that as well. And then we'll come up for a much bigger stretch. So it's hands by shoulders, popping up into our cat and cow and our side to side. And you're just going to work through those in your own time, at your own pace, encouraging as much or as little as feels right for your back. We want to go up and down. We want to go side to side. And we will eventually put them all together as well. But like I say, it is up to you wherever you go. Just keep your breathing nice and soft. So it's just easy breathing, unless you're holding a particular position and you find that it's useful to do a couple of deeper breaths. If there's a bit that's tight, sometimes it's useful to stay in position, do a couple of deeper breaths, help it release. So again, that's an option. We're going last couple of rolls through here then, wherever you are moving freely. Hopefully we've had a good amount of loosening there. Then the hands are going to slide forward. Bit of softening through the elbows. Again, this one is up to you, whether you like to be more in that high hip, very deep shoulder stretch position, or more of a lengthening shoulders with tailbone down in the child's pose. And either of those is totally fine. It's about getting comfortable into the stretch. And again, just taking a couple of breaths there. Okay. From there, we're going to slide the hands in. So they are now supporting us as we push ourselves up. And we're going to roll back onto our backs for our last couple of things. So shoulder bridging is first. And if you want to use a knee support, bring that with you. You don't have to. You can just work on controlling your knees with no additional prop, and that is fine. If you're not using a knee prop, your feet should be directly below your knees, and we're generally trying to keep them lined up. So when we start to lift, it's just making sure they don't wander out, and that's where that inner thigh connection comes that I was talking about earlier. If you're holding a knee prop, that sort of happens naturally, because to hold the prop, your inner thighs are switching on to keep it in place. So either way, that's activated. Then we start to roll, of course. So we're scooping up through the tailbone. First of all, think of taking tailbone to ceiling, then try curling it round towards your nose. And that will obviously not happen, but it will enhance the scooping. On the way down, we start at the shoulders, come through the ribs, flatten down through the low back, opening out the low back, or the whole of the spine really, but it's more noticeable as you come down through that low back position. If anything is preventing you lifting all of the way up, so niggly back or any other thing, it's okay just to go maybe pelvic tilting. So just focus on that scooping and rolling and then releasing down. If you are coming all the way up, then of course you've got your other options where you start to add in maybe some arm stretching. And then is it better for you to leave them there while you come down? Or do you want to bring them over the top or even circle around? Quite a nice one if your shoulders like it. So you can choose any of those. Leg work, super challenging. We can do a single leg extension there. Maybe you would do that with an opposite arm stretch, or maybe take the arms. Oh, do the leg. I haven't done that for a while. That's really unstable when you go to balance on only one leg. If you're not doing knee prop, you can still do leg work. It's more an upward lift there. That's probably the more traditional version. But yeah, there's loads of combinations of leg lift, arms next, or arms first, then leg lift, or separating them out. When you're doing your set of shoulder bridge, the chances are you'll probably do a bit of a mix and match rather than the whole set in one focus. So I'll give you a little bit longer. We normally do about 10. We're probably not far off that already. So it always takes me ages to go through all the different options because there's so many on shoulder bridge. Strong, strong glutes. But really shoulder bridge is a full body exercise. It's got that mobility of the spine, those strong glutes, they're the main drivers, but the legs are working, the back, abdominals. Really, there's a bit of everything going on. We are good. Okay. So if you're still going, you're probably coming into your last one now. So come on down and have a little rest. We will be taking a couple of moments to have a little stretch now, and then we'll be done. Okay, so first of all, we're going to take a nice twist stretch. So we're just in our normal setup position. We're just going to lift up one leg. Let me go towards you actually. Lift up one leg into normal single leg tabletop, and then roll that leg over. Catch it on the way though, so you're supporting the weight of it. Tuck the foot in if you need a bit less weight. Stretch the leg out if you want more. Take the hand away or support. All up to you. Wherever your hand and hip are going, the other arm and the head are just turning the other way. So you get this nice spiral stretch all the way down the spine. Couple of breaths there. Okay, we're going to roll up. Use that hand for support. Press yourself back up. Switch legs, roll over, catch and support. Tuck in, stretch out, all those same options. And again, once you're there, settle for a couple of breaths. Okay, on our next exhale, we're rolling back to center. This time the knees come up and we hold them, support with the hands as we draw some nice big circles here. So we're rolling through the whole of the low back and top of the pelvis. Nice big circles, easy breathing. And then back round the other way. Bring it down, knees are bent, feet on the floor, hands are up now, same thing. Clasp the hands, stretch them overhead, drop over to the side, down towards the legs, over to the other side, and that makes that really nice big upper body circle, mirroring what we just did with the lower body. Okay, that's then going to change direction. Take it around. All the while, with all of our stretching and mobilizing at the end, just doing nice, easy breathing. Choosing the deep breaths in certain positions if you need them. Okay. Let's finish overhead. Stretch those arms away, lengthen the legs out, point the toes. Now is a good time to do a bit of extra deep breathing while we're in the stretch. And flexing feet, again, probably a couple of breaths. Okay, we can relax the tension from the body there. Slowly circle those arms around, bring the knees in, roll ourselves to the side, and gently pop ourselves up. Once we're here, we're just sitting nice and comfortably. The hands are coming round the back, either palms or back to hand. Either way is fine with that one, but it's just drawing the elbows towards one another to get this big opening here. Take a couple of breaths. Again, that deeper breath just enhances it a little bit. Then the same thing for side bend. Stick your bum to the floor, reach over, take those couple of deeper breaths. And over to the inside as well. Last couple of nice deep breaths here. And then we'll come back. We'll give the shoulders one last little release and roll. And we are done. Yay! Great job, everybody. Well done. Let me stop that.